for the Built for Tough studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network and wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Friday morning, a feel-good football Friday with a ton of other things going on. Of course, the baseball season. We are in major crunch time. The Yankees are in. The Yankees celebrated. They celebrate, which is fine. And they still have an opportunity, of course, over the weekend to overtake the Toronto Blue Jays and win the AL East, which I believe they will do. The Mets, a big win, get off to a great start with a weird call with Dansby Swanson falling into the stands. But I was thinking, man, the Mets have not gotten a lot of good breaks. They got a good break there. Nolan McLean was good for a while. Still did give up the 5 runs, but hey, that is a win, and that's 2 out of 3 from the Chicago Cubs. So we'll see if they end up following it up with a series loss against a team that's not as good as the team they just beat, because I feel like that happens all the time with the Mets. Jackson Dart weekend, Ryder Cup. It was crazy driving in. All I saw was shuttle buses, state police. It's just everybody was flying to Bethpage, and then Bogish comes in and he says the Penn Station is jammed with golf fans. Oh, Gelb, come in here. Gelb, come in. You can come in. Give me the jacket. This is supposed to be a big America Day here with the Ryder Cup team, so I'm going to put on my Shinesty jacket. Thank you, Bob. Thank you. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, G. I'm doing well. I see that you got your flag and anthem uniform on today. You put your American flag jacket on, and certainly I have my red, white, and blue checks on to obviously reflect today's Ryder Cup. And yes, you could just feel it, man. And as Bogish was telling me the same thing this morning, that Penn Station was absolutely jammed. That means we have people coming from New Jersey. We got people coming from Connecticut. We got people coming from all around the tri-state area, and over 50,000 fans will show up today. And we are about an hour away from the first tee shot, and it is going to be Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah.
He is going to launch a tee shot to try to put Justin Thomas in a spot to make eagle. That's the object, and I think Keegan is putting him out there because he recognizes just what Bryson DeChambeau means to the American golf fan. And I think it's smart. I think it's the thing to do and the way to go. And off we go this morning, and hopefully the older players that are playing in this Ryder Cup will reflect the younger players who won the Ryder Cup earlier at Nassau Golf Club. The Americans won there.
Yes.
So the kids won, so now it's time for the grown-ups to win.
Yes, and that would be great. We'll be paying attention to it. We'll have live at 7 o'clock, which is always awesome when you have live sports when we are on the air. And this is going to be a huge weekend. I mean, not only that, of course, on Long Island and how local and special that is to us, but just think about what Monday morning could be from a exuberant standpoint or a depression standpoint on how things go. Now, the Yankees will be okay no matter what, but you want to win the AL East, and you don't want the Toronto Blue Jays to win the AL East. You want to get every advantage you can in the postseason. But we could be talking about a wonderful Jackson Dart start. We could be talking about the Mets in the playoffs. We could talk about Jackson Dart throwing 5 interceptions and leaving the game with an injury. We could talk about the Mets missing the playoffs. So, I mean, this is just heading into this weekend. There's just so much in the air. You could feel the anticipation. I mean, this is as big of a sports weekend as we had in 2025.
That's right. And it ends all up with the Jets at the Dolphins, and it looks like Justin Fields is going to play quarterback for the Jets. And, it is – I don't know. There's so many questions surrounding both of these football teams. There's a lot of questions surrounding the Mets, especially with the way that they won again last night. You know, Nolan McLean was rolling along right there, man. He got 11 strikeouts last night.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like most young pitchers, they'll run into trouble, and then you see how they handle the trouble, and then finally the bullpen comes through last night. But you can't keep winning these games having to score 8 runs. You can't. It's just not going to work. And the thing that I worry about with the Mets, hopefully they get through the Marlins, but Toronto's got Tampa Bay, and the Yankees have Baltimore. And this, to me, is really, really interesting as to whether or not the Yankees can overtake the Toronto Blue Jays and see what, these two teams, Baltimore and Tampa Bay, what kind of fight they have left in them in the final weekend of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Blue Jays are not having a Detroit Tigers-like collapse, but they have definitely come to earth, back down to earth as the Yankees have been surging. So it just feels to me, because the Yankees and the Blue Jays just have different recent histories. Now, I know the Yankees haven't won a World Series, but they're always in the playoffs. They're always there. The Toronto Blue Jays don't win playoff series. They don't make the playoffs. So I'm just making a assumption based on history that the Yankees will figure that out, just because they've been playing great baseball. And this Marlins thing, I mean, part of me wants to say that the 2025 Mets and Marlins have nothing to do with the 2007 and 2008 Mets and Marlins.
I hope you're right. You got Brandon Sproat going against Sandy Alcantara tonight.
That's right. And but as a Met fan, and I know the players are different. You know, you were playing at Shea Stadium those years ago. You're playing down in Miami, a stadium that didn't even exist. I mean, these players were probably 5-6 years old when this happened. But as a Mets fan, you can't help but to think about ending a season, a collapse, horrible things happening against the Marlins. So I'm trying to forget about that heading into the series and thinking really it has nothing to do with it. But if you're someone who lived through that and remembers that, it does have something to do with it, and it's going to be in the back of my mind, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I mean, I'll never forget, I had to come in and produce a Giants in-studio game for WFAN, because I was the in-studio producer for the Giants radio broadcast in 2007 when they went and won the Super Bowl. So I had to come in. I was living on the Upper West Side of Manhattan at the time. So I had to come in at whatever it was, 2 o'clock. But I'm I'm going to go to a bar and watch both the Vikings, who were playing the Packers, and the Mets and the Marlins. This is that Sunday, right? So as I'm sitting there at the bar, I'm watching Brett Favre carve up the Minnesota Vikings and get the touchdown record on the Metrodome turf, where they're celebrating everywhere. The Green Bay Packers are signing footballs and they stop the game. And then I'm watching the Mets get smacked around and complete the worst collapse in the history of Major League Baseball. And then I had to come in and then, watch the Giants and produce the Giant game, a team that eventually won the Super Bowl. So these things are ingrained in my memory. They're branded in my head, and I want to forget about it, but I can't.
Well, Miami has won 8 of their last 11, but they have lost 2 in a row to Philadelphia.
Okay.
So if that means anything, I don't know. It's always about your next day starting pitcher, they say, in Major League Baseball. So hopefully they can get to Sandy Alcantara and give Brandon Sproat some run support. I mean, there's not much room. There is not much room to screw around. And of all teams that have to play at the end of the season,
yeah, I mean, they like to end the season obviously with division games, and that's what you have with the Yankees and the Orioles and the Mets and the Marlins. You never know how it's going to work out, if you're playing that team to win a division or whatever it is. But no matter who it was, if the Mets had to go down to Atlanta, you'd be like, oh God, they got to finish the season down in Atlanta. Say you're playing the Marlins in the season. 2007, 2008. You could say, you're playing the Phillies. Oh, the Phillies are a good team. You don't want to end. So there's a story which each of these teams in the NL East, maybe outside of the Nationals, who you just lost 2 out of 3 to. But anyway, outside of the Nationals, there's a story. But this story is a negative one.
If you win 3 out of 3 against the Nationals, like you should have,
yeah, you're
not even sitting here talking about
this. Right, to finish your slate up at Citi Field and losing those 2 games is
and
just
the amazing thing, too, is that, again, Francisco Lindor has a 30 for 30 season. We know that Soto is at a 30 for 30, 40 for 40 season. But, I mean, the fact is that their individual statistics have been really, really good. The problem is that overall as a team, they have been so inconsistent, and their starting pitching, you're relying on these young arms. They don't even have anybody slated for game 2 or 3 at the moment as we sit here right now against the Marlins. It's Brandon Sproat, and then it's question mark. And that to me is going to be also very interesting it's not just Carlos Mendoza, it's everybody. It's David Stearns. It's, who are we going to decide to throw out there to start these games?
Yeah, I mean, and that is the one thing that is going to hold this team back from what we want them to do. So, yeah, I mean, you have the David Peterson dilemma. To me, it shouldn't even be a question. But then again, it's like, who else can you throw out there?
I mean, and plus the because of David Peterson's last outing, this bullpen has been exhausted. Like, you go into these series thinking, okay, if I can get 6 or 7 innings out of my starter, at least I can give my bullpen a rest. That has not been the case with this little last run here in Chicago.
Remember what's that old phrase, the baseball phrase, spawn and sane and pray for rain? Remember
yes. Yeah. And if you remember, if you need a day off, what do? You go turn on the sprinklers.
So I'm thinking, but no, because of the spawn and sane and pray for rain. Now I'm thinking like McLean and Sproat and sink the boat. I don't know what we got to come up with something, but that's what it feels like, right?
It does.
It's like with those two young guys, you have a level of confidence. Everybody else, you don't. And that is, you just hope that the offense scores enough runs to deal with whatever damage you get out of those other starting pitchers.
And by the way, so now you got Cincinnati at Milwaukee. It's not easy for them, even though Milwaukee is clinched. And then, of course, you have Arizona at San Diego.
Yeah.
So I mean, everybody is finishing up with what I would consider a very difficult series. So do you see any one of these teams actually sweeping these series? That's really what it comes down to. Does one of these teams sweep the series that they're in, or is it going to be like a disaster for them as much as it could be for the Mets?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like sweeping is going to be a lot in these scenarios for these three teams. I think that you're going to get two of them that go 2 out of 3. Maybe one loses 2 out of 3. But I think the Mets and the Reds, if the Mets win 2, they're going to be okay, because I don't believe that the Reds are going to sweep. So just win the 2 out of 3. You're going to be okay, because then even if you win the 2, even if the Diamondbacks sweep, you'll still be okay, because you're 2 up there and you wouldn't lose any ground or enough ground to give it up. So yeah, just win. It's really just win 2 and hope that the Reds don't sweep. But yeah, I don't see any team sweeping.
And by the way, this is exactly what Major League Baseball wanted when they expanded the playoffs. This is exactly what you want.
A lot of markets involved, as many markets as possible. I do think, as much as it feels a bit watered down at times, the only way that you can get more people interested in the game is if their local team is in the mix, because it's a regional sport. And if their local team is into it, you're going to the games, you're watching, you're paying attention. And if they're not, you don't care about what's going on in the game nationally. So that is one of the smarter things that Major League Baseball has done. Let's get as many markets involved watching their team try to make the playoffs. And you got a bunch.
You do. And, and I think, I would imagine that there'll be a ton of Met fans down in Miami.
Yeah, there always is. Yeah.
I mean, it's cheaper to actually fly down there and stay there and go to their games, because you can get $5 tickets.
True.
You can sit close to the diamond and enjoy some nice weather.
Yeah.
And then if you're a Met and Jet fan, hey, you turn it into a Monday night. Let's go down there to Hard Rock Stadium and watch the Dolphins and the Jets.
You know that a bunch of Met and Jet fans are doing that. You just hope it works out for them. You really do.
Man, I want them to come back happy.
You just hope it works out for them. The Met. I mean, if you're a Met and Jet fan, I mean, you sign for the Mets making the playoffs and winning some games down there, and then you say if the Jets lose, whatever. It really doesn't even matter at this point with them. They're, this season's all about building a culture. It's not about winning games. So even if they end up going 0-4, like, whatever. But what you want is you'll be riding high no matter what if the Mets make it to the playoffs and you're down there. And if you go to Monday Night Football, you celebrate a little bit with a couple of beers and then to watch the Jets lose again.
But, the game between the Dolphins and the Jets are exactly what the NFL is. There are usually 6 or 7 teams that have a new coach trying to build something, trying to get his team to believe in them, and then they can win, and they have the winning DNA. And then you have another team where a coach has been there for a while. They had some success. Now all of a sudden the success is not coming. Now the fans are chirping about the job of the head coach, and that is what the NFL is. When you're talking about cycles, coaching cycles, team cycles, and if you somehow can find stability and have a little bit of luck somewhere along the line, whether it be in the draft or via the trade or selecting the right free agent, maybe you could turn your whole fortunes around. And maybe, who knows? Like if Justin Fields is playing Monday night, which I do believe he's going to be, maybe he goes out there and he puts the performance that we saw in week 1. But, this is a very poor Dolphins defense. Very,
it's a very poor Jets defense, too.
I know, but but I'm just talking about from the offensive perspective of the Jets. This should be a game where they should be able to move the ball up and down the field. I would like to think that this, I don't know what the over-under in this game is. It's probably somewhere around 46, I would think.
Would you like me to open the FanDuel Sportsbook app and take a look at that?
I would love for you to do that.
Okay.
I would think it's somewhere between 42 and 46.
Okay.
And I'm thinking it's going to be like a 27-24 type of game. I think both teams are going to be able to move the ball in their respective defenses they're playing.
Yeah, so as I open the app and go to the NFL and scroll all the way down to the Monday night game with the Jets and the Dolphins, it is 44.5.
Yeah. All right. So I got to believe it's got to be over, right?
Man,
I mean,
don't know.
you're playing with two, just really defenses that have given a lot of big plays and points.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would assume, but I also would not be surprised if both of those offenses were terrible as well. I mean, you know what I'm rooting for? And I'm not rooting for an injury, but I mean, Zach Wilson coming in the game would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Maybe Tua just like stubs a toe for a couple plays, something like that. I don't want him to get a concussion, but Zach Wilson trotting onto that field that'd be some entertainment. Come on, that'd be some entertainment.
Well, now that you're all up in, his father-in-law.
No, I'm not. You are. I'm not changing my opinion on Zach Wilson. I mean, I would be hilarious. It'd just be another one of those things that's happening in New York football. If he came out and threw a couple touchdown passes against the Jets,
right?
It's just like par for the course.
And by the way, Sam Darnold, again, in his last 21 games, he's 17-4 as a starting quarterback. And he did it again last night, fourth quarter comeback.
Yep.
A game that was, I stayed up and watched. I wasn't going to watch. I was going to turn it off because the game got really dull. And then all of a sudden the fourth quarter just absolutely exploded. And, I mean, so many little things happened in this game towards the end to the Seattle Seahawks. They should have won this game by 10 points. I mean, there were penalties being called that were phantom penalties. Are guys inbounds, out of bounds when they're catching the ball? Are we stopping the clock? Are we not stopping the clock? It was everything that the NFL has turned out to be, so inconsistent on every level. The players, the officiating, the interpretation of the rules. I mean, it was nuts. And the Seahawks should have won this game going away. But to Sam Darnold's credit, he was able to get the ball back, and they were able to move the ball down the field. And to his coach's credit, he was calling timeouts at the right time, and this kicker finally hits a field goal to win the game, and they walk off last night in a game which, they had total control of for 3.5 quarters.
Most interesting thing that came out of Thursday Night Football for me is what the panel on Amazon had to say about the New York Giants, Russell Wilson, and Jackson Dart. I know Jerry's got some of that coming up in his updates throughout the morning. We'll hear his first one next. It's Boomer and Gio on a Feel Good Football Friday on the Fan and CBS Sports Network.